Hello my dear friends, how are you doing today? I'm back with another very exciting Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And we're now just under a month away from Andor Season 2, and today we have some massive updates. Tony Gilroy's been doing more interviews, and he's revealed some very surprising new details. The big topic we're going to talk about is how he teases guest stars. Familiar characters who are very important, who we might not expect. But I want to start with something that might seem unrelated, but I promise you guys, it does connect. So if you remember, Gilroy said he's done with Star Wars after this. There are rumors he signed a deal with Disney, but we now know his next project. It's not Star Wars, it's not sci-fi, it's a music drama about the journey of a cellist, starring Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron himself. Oscar is going to appear at Star Wars Celebration, and there are rumblings on the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. He might be confirmed to be in the upcoming Simon Kinberg trilogy or the Rey movie. Nonetheless, he'll be working with Tony Gilroy, and it got me thinking, Poe Dameron isn't born until 2ABY, so he's not going to be in Andor Season 2. But considering Season 2 has confirmed connections to the sequel trilogy, I wonder if some of these surprise characters have connections to further down the timeline. For instance, what about Poe Dameron's parents, Kez Dameron and Shara Bay? A few Lucasfilm authors and comic book writers have expressed they hope these characters one day come to life. I'm not inferring anything from the Tony Gilroy-Oscar Isaac situation, but it just got me thinking about these characters, because if we're about to see the founding of a rebellion, honestly guys, since we're not getting another season, this is really the last time to show us some of those underrated rebels who we've never seen in live action. And there are tons of different rebel cells who maybe will see their ships, maybe there'll be a name drop or something like that, but a couple such as Poe Dameron's parents are surprisingly important, both soldiers in the Galactic Civil War, ones who spent a lot of time apart. And then I realised something really funny. You know at the moment how everyone's talking about Snow White, Rachel Zegler controversies? Well, that actress is the only person who's really expressed interest in portraying Shara Bay. The controversial Rachel Zegler is a big Star Wars fan, but don't worry before you panic, I really don't think Disney would do that. But could you imagine? Tony does say, as I'll cover in just a minute, nothing is fan service. Nothing is done so you can point at the screen and say, oh my goodness, it's that person. But believe it or not, after the founding of the Rebel Alliance, they were a very important couple. Poe's dad helped design Echo Base, and they really are making big connections to the sequel trilogy. There were a couple of connections and Easter eggs in the first season, but in Season 2, we're getting to Car Base, years before it was the Resistance Base, and the brand new Locations book updated the planet description for Dakar, mentioning how it was once a rebel base, one that was used by the partisans, so you never know what kinds of surprises Season 2's gonna hold. But let's talk about some of what Tony Gilroy said. Are you ready? Let's get into it. In a brand new interview with the playlist, he revealed something massive he hasn't shared before. Anytime he's been asked about specific characters, cameos, unexpected faces appearing in the final season, he's kind of said similar things. He doesn't like fan service, and again, he's reiterated the same sentiment. But this time when he answered, it was a bit different, because he's just teased, aside from Krennic and K2SO, there are some pretty major guest stars. Some from Rogue One, and others he can't really reveal at this stage, but he thinks fans will be very pleasantly surprised. That said, every character who appears in this season has a role in the story. They weren't picked for fan service. And then he says this, the show is hugely populated, more so than the first season, and get ready for this, there are 400 speaking parts. But, he clarifies, never gratuitously. Fan service is a bad term. He says our fan service is to be serious and not cynical. He says we never mess around. It's not there to wink at the audience and say, hey, look over here. He says our fan service is to be mean. But like I said, my dear friends, something very exciting from this, there are going to be a lot of guest stars. Be they famous Star Wars characters from other media, maybe the Ghost Crew, or whether they're just familiar actors. He says there are guest stars we don't know about. Maybe some familiar rebels from the comics, from the novels, but they will fit. So if there are familiar characters, they serve a purpose. They're more likely to be returning Yavin 4 characters from Rogue One, background rebel characters. And did you know, my dear friends, and this is an absolutely wild news update, one of those actors was asked to return, but he turned it down because he didn't want to have to cut his hair. Lucasfilm asked him to, and he said no. British pop star Jordan Stevens played Storden Tonk in Rogue One. He was a member of the Alliance to Restore the Republic and participated in the Battle of Scarif, being good friends with Poe Dameron. Even though he died on Scarif, as a prequel, Andor is the perfect place to bring him back. And they asked him. They wanted to bring him back for season 2, but according to Stevens, Lucasfilm asked him to cut off his dreadlocks, to which he responded, "No, that's like 6 years of hair growth. I'm not doing that for one scene." But I'm just using him as an example of other characters who might re-emerge. They might not all be massive stars, but Gilroy does promise more familiarity, because as he says, the entirety of season 2 has to connect with Rogue One, the first scene of the 2016 movie. So some very exciting stuff to come, I can't wait. And fingers crossed, one of the returning characters, not from Rogue One, but from Andor season 1, is Kino Loy. I think he made it out of Narkina 5, even if he couldn't swim, even if he didn't go off with Cassian and Melshi. Big spoiler warning, we do know that Andy Serkis was on set, so we should be getting Kino Loy back. Does he make it all the way to Yavin, and does he join the main Rebel Alliance? Or is he someone who out of anger joins the Partisans? That'd be a big twist. I've also seen a lot of discussion in the last few weeks about Luthen. I covered this at the time, but Gilroy promises we're going to see his backstory. I don't think he was a Jedi, maybe he was the dad of a Padawan who died during Order 66, but I don't think he's a Jedi. Others think he was a former royal guard or Senate guard, and there is a bit of evidence supporting a lot of these theories. Others think he was a lost Palpatine relative. Whatever the case may be, we're about to find out. And right from the word go, he was a character set up to be killed off in this show, and not to make it beyond it. If you want to go even crazier with the speculation, there are some who have been saying he's a double agent, not on the rebel side, but for the Empire. His dreams and aspirations are secretly in favor of order to help the Empire. I think that's a bit too wild. That is certainly a spicy theory, but there are too many things that contradict it. I definitely think Axis Cell is a rebel cell. He's not a mole for the ISB. And they debunked this theory in the show, when Luthen goes to Saw Gerrera and tells him he's going to let Anto Kreegyr and his men fall into the ISB trap. Saw then responds, either you're ISB, or there's someone you're protecting on the inside. If he were ISB, why wouldn't he have just let Saw Gerrera go with Kreegyr? It was in the name of the greater good. You allow Kreegyr and his men to get caught by the ISB. The Empire feels invincible. Luthen and Saw get off scotch-free. The Empire doesn't suspect them as much. And sources that took years to build are not burnt. So I don't buy into the theory that Luthen is Imperial. It doesn't make any sense. There are definitely questions about his Fondor Hallcraft, his ship, its capabilities. It does definitely scream some kind of Imperial prototype, but no, he's definitely a rebel. One who, like I say, is about to fall out with a wider rebellion. And I believe Luthen's monologue kind of teases this. When he talks about the sunrise he'll never see, when he talks about showing the dreams of ghosts, he also reveals his flaws, his anger, his ego, using the tools of his enemy. I think he's about to go too far. The trailer and the special look demonstrate both characters, Luthen and Claire, are getting desperate. But back to Tony Gilroy. He was asked about the rumors of Kathleen Kennedy's departure, and if he would ever want a higher role at Lucasfilm, to which he responds, quite simply, no. He alludes to how he's had a very long career. He's very happy with everything he's accomplished, and after this show is done, he's finished with Star Wars. But he does admit, and he's an absolute legend for acknowledging this, Andor is the most important thing he's ever done. What a guy. I really love how seriously he's taking it.